The Man Who Died Twice, 2007, Tokyo, Japan, a special episode. Welcome to Real Unsolved Crimes. I'm Ryan, your guide into the strange, the unexplained, and the terrifyingly true. Tonight, we bring you a special episode, a case so bizarre, so haunting, that it almost defies logic. This is the story of a man who was reported dead, not once, but twice. A case that left investigators baffled, families in shock, and the people of Tokyo questioning the very nature of reality. Was it a case of identity theft? A doppelganger? Or something far more sinister lurking beneath the neon glow of the city? Stay with me as we unravel the chilling mystery of the man who died twice. The first death. It all began on a cold February evening in 2007. A middle-aged businessman identified as Koji Matsumoto was found dead in his Tokyo apartment. The cause? Apparent suicide. There was a note. A farewell letter filled with apologies, regret, and sorrow. His family, devastated, confirmed the body as his. The autopsy ruled it a clear case of self-inflicted poisoning. The funeral was held a week later. Friends, colleagues, and loved ones mourned the passing of a man who, by all accounts, had no known enemies. The details were tragic, but straightforward, or so it seemed. However, hidden within the crime scene report was an odd detail. Koji's apartment had been locked from the inside, with no sign of forced entry. Investigators initially dismissed it as irrelevant. After all, it was a suicide, wasn't it? But the truth was far from simple. The impossible return. 6 months later, something happened that shook the Matsumoto family to their core. On a humid summer night, Koji Matsumoto walked through the front door of his parents' house. Alive. His mother fainted. His father stood frozen, speechless. His younger brother, terrified, demanded to know who, what, was standing before them. But the man insisted he was Koji. He was alive. And he had no memory of ever being dead. How was this possible? Had there been a mistake? Had they buried the wrong person? The family, struggling to comprehend, called the police. When the officers arrived, they were cautious. They asked Koji for identification, expecting some sort of trick or fraud. But his documents were in order: driver's license, work ID, even bank cards. All current. All legitimate. And yet, just 6 months ago, they had identified his lifeless body. The investigation deepens. When the authorities arrived, they were skeptical. But as they questioned the man, they realized something chilling. He knew details only the real Koji Matsumoto could know. His childhood memories, his work history, even private conversations he'd had with family members, none of it could have been fabricated. And then came the real shock. The fingerprints matched. This man was, in every way, Koji Matsumoto. But if that was true, who had they buried 6 months earlier? The police retrieved hospital records from the initial death. The autopsy report confirmed that the deceased shared Koji's dental records, scars, and even a birthmark. It was an exact match. But two identical men couldn't exist, could they? Who was the other Koji? Detectives exhumed the body. They ran DNA tests. And what they found defied all logic. The body was also Koji Matsumoto. Identical fingerprints. Identical DNA. It was as if two versions of the same man had existed simultaneously. One had died. One was standing right in front of them. This wasn't just a case of mistaken identity. This was something impossible. Police expanded their investigation. They examined Koji's workplace, his financial records, and surveillance footage from before his supposed death. And then, they uncovered something even more bizarre. 2 separate transactions had been made from Koji's bank account, one before his supposed death, and another, months later, using the exact same access code. Theories and speculations. The case made headlines, though officials tried to suppress the details. Scientists, conspiracy theorists, and internet detectives scrambled to make sense of it. Was it a case of cloning? A parallel universe glitch? A supernatural occurrence? Some believed Koji had a secret twin, separated at birth. But medical records showed no such evidence. Could this be evidence of time travel? A government experiment gone wrong? The surviving Koji, overwhelmed, tried to resume his normal life. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. By whom? The answer would never come. The final disappearance. 1 year later, Koji Matsumoto vanished. No trace. No evidence of foul play. His bank accounts, untouched. His phone, last pinged near the Tokyo Bay. It was as if he had never existed. The case was quietly closed, buried under layers of red tape. But those who knew the story never forgot. The unsolved ending. Sometimes, the dead don't stay buried. And sometimes, reality isn't as solid as we think. Was Koji Matsumoto a glitch in the system? A warning? A man who shouldn't have come back? One thing is certain, he walked through the door that night, and walked out of history forever.